listening to the conversations that Dante was having. He had about 4 or 5 conversations with stations across the country. The satellite that was passing over has a relatively small footprint, just the United States, or South America, the northern part of South America. But at the time that Dante was on, but it's the same station that's being used for the control station for the CubeSat. So the equipment is capable of doing any, what we call orbiting satellite carrying amateur radio, which is what Oscar is. So there's a number of satellites out there. What's different about the CubeSat, GatorSat, is that you're doing an experiment. I mean, if you're going up for an experimental purpose, you're going to communicate with the satellite. But what you're not doing is what these satellites are doing with amateur radio, which is they're basically acting as repeaters in the sky. So you get the curvature of the Earth. If you want to talk to somebody on the other side of the Earth, you got to get a signal around there. I mean, you can connect computer networks using the internet, which is what we have here called Echolink. But we have our local repeater system where we can be in our car, we can put in a number and get a repeater system in Melbourne, Australia, or anywhere in the world that's linked. Another way is to use the ionosphere. So you're going to be using the E or the F layer. So over there right now you'll see a lot of conversations going on. There's digital modes of communications using the F layer of the atmosphere. So that's F2 propagation. And so all the Europeans coming through right now. And on Archer Road side of the dental school, you see these gigantic antenna hanging over the building. That's pointed towards Europe. So that's a high gain antenna that puts all the energy in one direction to bounce it off the ionosphere and come on back down off the F layer for propagation. We're at the very low end of the sunspot cycle, so that's not greatly reliable. The computer modes help because you don't need a lot of signal. You can pull those signals out of the noise. Voice is very difficult right now. So here with satellite, you got a clear line of sight. UHF and VHF signals going to pass right through the layers of the atmosphere, and basically you got a repeater floating in the sky. Our local repeaters on BD towers, that's how we do the car. Transmit, it retransmits. These are crossband. We set up on one frequency and comes back down on another. Most of the ones that are the ones Dante were working on that use handheld radios, they're VHF up and they're UHF down. And it's a lot of fun to work on. We also track the satellite in the sky. We're interfaced here. We have computer assisting control and tuning the radio, but we also have rotor control, and here's the interface for all that. So this particular computer here is doing all the duties of handling the frequencies on the radio as well as the satellite positioning. So you can run a pretty much automatic station and not be here, except in the summer. You wouldn't want to leave it hooked in during thunderstorm season. The antennas are right on the roof. Challenge on the VHF and the UHF is the loss on the cable. And we've got some pretty low loss cable here, very heavy copper hard line going up to the roof versus some of the flexible cables that we would use on high frequencies, but loss isn't that important. These are it's low signal work, so you can't afford to have the signal loss. We're using preamplifiers, mass mounted, also to amplify the signals. Amateur radio, by the way, for licensing, it used to be hard to get a license. You had to know Morse code. None of that anymore. I mean, for UF students, probably a weekend of reading. And there's online tutorials, and we give the licenses right here in Gainesville. So if you're interested in being part of the communications team for the satellite, it's easy enough to become involved. As it launches, we're going to need people to come over and operate, to monitor.
And is that open to undergrads as well?
Oh, yeah, sure. Anybody can join the club now. You can join the club now. You don't have to be licensed to join the club. It's just to get access to the radio station you have to be licensed. We encourage all of you that even have an interest in amateur radio to get licensed if you'd like to be involved in speaking. But if you're not involved right now and you think you might be in the future, at least go ahead and join and get on the listserv so you can hear about the activities of the club. You can learn a little bit more of some of the conversations that go on. Not everybody's technically inclined. I'm a dentist. I'm not an engineer. And Charles is a journalism student. So we had a music student over here the other day that was interested. Her whole family were hams, and she never got licensed. So it's not really extremely technical from a standpoint of getting licensed. What you do with your hobby is a personal choice. You have so many choices within amateur radio. Some people just do satellites. Some people just do Morse code on satellites. Some people just do digital modes on satellites. And that's just a small subset of a very large hobby. And you've got all the equipment here at the university. So actually world class in terms of the location and the antennas. There aren't going to be many times in your life you have the opportunity to operate equipment such as this. So we have alumni that reminisce about this. These are cards that from people, stations we've spoken to. I'm going through them, organizing them today, but mostly from the 1980s. I ran into a card. It was the first European contact by Jamie Dupree, who's Fox News Washington, D.C. correspondent. He's on the Neil Bort Show all the time. He's their radio correspondent. So a lot of people have gotten their start here, and engineers and as well as broadcasters, but all walks of life. All walks of life. So we're going to be listening on 2 meters, and this is the center of the bandpass right here. We do get a little trash here in the health center on 2 meters. Intermod, there's a lot of paging systems. We also have a pass of GO32 coming up, which is a digital satellite. I'm going to tell the software not to run it because it's only 3-degree elevation. There'd be no point. That's not enough elevation to have successful communication. Check it 3 degrees over the horizon. You don't really get line of sight. So unless we get somebody that's retired, there aren't too many people on during the day. But we're at 7 degrees elevation now, and the rotor's kicked in. It's at 11 degrees azimuth now. This rotor is set up to go past 360, so we'll see which direction it's going. It may have to switch. Okay. The W0 station. W0 station. This is W4DFU, Whiskey 4 Delta Foxtrot Uniform. Sorry, we're tuned in here. This is Whiskey 4 Delta Foxtrot Uniform. Whiskey 4 Delta Foxtrot Uniform. Echo Lima 89. Operators J. Juliet Alpha Yankee. Please repeat your call. Fortunately, GatorSat is the other way around, so we won't get interfered with. Okay, W0EOZ, Whiskey 4 Delta Foxtrot Uniform, Echo Lima 89. I did copy the call that time. We've worked before from my home QTH. Here it's the University of Florida Club Station in Gainesville, and we have a group of students here watching this contact. Go ahead. Okay, what temperature did you say you were having today? That's really bad internet. Okay, W0EOZ, this is W4DFU. We're having a pretty day here. We're in the positive territory, not the negative. What temperature do you have there? 60s? Okay, it sounds like you're doing pretty well there. I'm not using the headphones, so we're getting a little bit of feedback here. Excuse me. Let me turn it down here, because we've got a big group The students here are building a CubeSat. So they're building a CubeSat that they're going to launch, and they're having a CubeSat Appreciation Day today, which is also World Amateur Radio Day. So they're touring the station here, which is going to be the mission control for their CubeSat. Lose the signal. Okay, thanks for the contact. 73s, we're still copying you. I realize you're going LOS. 73, this is W4DFU on frequency. There was another station in Morse code. Nobody has to buy new radio. Just convert.